Hey, Don here. Okay, back with another live stream. And this morning, I'm going to this evening. It's dark. It's five. I've been up all night again. It's 5:17 a.m. I see that on my clock. I'm going to the laptop screen you see with the broken screen. I've set that. That's that my Acer laptop that I set up as my Fedora 29 server. I'm going to use it. I've got my red black BioStar running with Fedora 14, but it still has my website on it on the Apache web server. And but I'm going to test Rescatux. Let me check my audio. I was about to forget. I already had trouble with it, so I got to make sure. 14, but it still has my website on it. Okay, so it seems like it's working okay now. I started my stream 3 times earlier and finally had to fix my audio was delayed really bad is what it turned out. So I'm over here on the Rescatux. Is that see the big A there? I remember it now because I've been working with Adrian. You know, saw one of my videos where I was using I don't remember which one I was using, Super Grub Disk or Rescatux. I think it was Rescatux, but I'm going to be saying Rescatux without even knowing it because I've been using this for years and that's what I've always called it. I didn't even realize, at some point I think I saw that that he had named it with an A instead of a U. And I've already forgot exactly what he said, but anyway, he explained why he named it that way. And I wouldn't try to go into it again right now because I've already forgot. But at some point, anyway, I've been testing his beta versions along, and now he has. Well, I guess they'd be alpha versions. Really, they weren't released, and so this one is. Now I'm doing Rescatux, not Super Grub Disk, but if you've never heard of it, here's the website, and it can help you rescue your. That's why rescue is what I call it, because it'll help you rescue your Linux or your Windows system. And this website here, actually, he's looks to me. I'm pretty sure he's updated it. He was saying he was going to. Looks like he's updated it, the layout and stuff of it, and it explains it all to you. And if you never used it before, you're gonna need to read over this stuff. And then there's where I was had clicked on the download link. Somehow it highlighted. But see, it's beta. This version is still beta, but it's so that's why I'm testing it. But I mean, he wants to see what I think of it and stuff. Get somebody to tell him something about it. So this is the explanation of it and of both of them. What Rescatux and Super Grub Disk. And I started when it was Super Grub Disk was just Super Grub Disk, and now there's Super Grub Disk 1 and Super Grub Disk 2. And it was, I don't know, I can't remember, years ago. I won't say how many because I'm not sure. But you'll need to look over all that if you never used it before, and if you have been using it, there's a bunch of new features, several new features and improvements. I've already seen some of them, and I'm going to boot it up here in a little bit. I'm going to burn it to a USB stick and boot it up, and I'll go over it. And excuse me. This is the download page. That's why I had both of these tabs open here. Rescatux-0.71-beta7. I don't know what that really means, not a review, but why that's on there. I skimmed over both of these pages and I never did see what that was supposed to mean. Here's the link right here to actually download it. You can see when you hover over it, if you look down at the bottom of the left of the screen, you'll see what the link goes to, and it says, that's what it's going to the ISO. So I didn't click on it because I had already downloaded it. He actually sent it to me a couple weeks ago, and I've been trying to get this video done for a while now. And so anyway, I already have the ISO, and It's running on Debane 10, and that makes it able to do, and it was saying in here Debane 10 is not released yet, but this is, this one that he's using is a frozen version. I guess it's the one they're planning on releasing once they get completely finished with it. But anyway, good explanation, some more explanations about everything. Rescap is the app that you use to rescue your system with, and that's what will. And he's been doing some changes on it. I did boot it up in virtual machine, so I already know what to expect. But a lot of information, but it's good information. So let's see. I think I'll close the web browser now so that you know, I won't be able to work in this machine. Okay, so what I'm going to do, here's where I have my ISO already downloaded. Yeah, the date when I got it was 5/9/19. So I guess it's been about been over a month, I guess. So, and that other side of Crusader File Manager is just my video, my backup video that I'm making for my live stream. But so I'm going to get over here and I'm going to open up Fedora Media Writer. Since I'm running Fedora 28 here on this. It works. It used to only work with Fedora images, but now it works with pretty much any I've tried. ISO, you know, Linux distros, ISO images. So now see it. Oh, 30 is out, I guess. See, I hadn't paid much of attention. See, I'm running Fedora 28 on this machine, which I want to upgrade it. I was planning on upgrading Fedora 29. I guess I'll go to 30. So when it's in this app, that means it's been released. So Fedora 30 is out. I just hadn't paid attention. So it'll be, well, maybe I'll just reformat the laptop, or maybe I will be reformatting it now because that's another side story. But I was playing around with some stuff that now I don't want. So ZoneMinder, I put ZoneMinder on there, a security camera app. Or an IP webcam app. It can be whatever you want to use it for. But I didn't get it working, and I'm going to try again maybe. But still, I don't want it on there because one condition for it to work, you can't run SE Linux, Security Linux, and I'm not going to have my web server not running Security Linux. Thought it'd be great, you know, have my web server also be my camera. I was going to plug in a USB camera into it and have it be put over by the window and point the camera out the window, you know. But anyway, the cameras are old anyway, so they wouldn't really be good enough. I'm using a phone, my other phone too, right now, and going through the screen and the glass and all that, it's just problematic. You really need real outdoor cameras. It's a 1080, you know, it'll do 1080, 1080p camera. But so anyway. Now, if you haven't ever used Media Writer, the present release, the newest release is always up there at the top. So you've got the workstation and server, and it will come. The workstation will come with the default desktop, which is Genome 3, or I guess it's still Genome 3. I quit when Genome 3 came out. I started using Mate Desktop. That's what you see right here. It's just like Genome 2 used to be. This is where I'm going to go, custom image, but I wanted to show this first. Make that a little bigger. This little app sometimes acts up, and I like to make things full screen. Just hit that, but then sometimes it acts up when I do that. So anyway, you can pick through some other spins, and there's some pretty cool stuff in there. Like say if you want Mate Desktop, like what I got, then you would get this one here, Fedora Mate Compiz. Other desktops, and then there's labs, they call them, but for specific purposes. They come with more software, like for astronomy, design suite, and all these different things. Security lab, robotics. But what I'm going to do in this case right now is, I'm going to make that back normal size again, or some sort of, is go to custom image. And we'll get our little window open up. so that we can pick our image. I want the 7, make sure, yeah, the newest one I got, May. Those were the other ones that I've tested, and maybe one of them might have been one I already had before I met. He was Adrian was watching one of my videos, and he started, commenting on my videos, and we started talking back and forth. So anyway, oh, big mistake. What do you see there? Seagate expansion drive, 5 terabyte. I have 2 backup drives plugged into my system, and usually what I do is, and see, there's an 8 terabyte and a 5 terabyte. That's all it's going to see, because I haven't plugged in the little USB stick I'm going to use. So that's the number one thing you got to watch out for. Is now I may have to close. Let's see if we have to close. If you do that, let's find out if we have to close Media Writer. So I'm going to plug in my little USB stick over here to the machine. And this is a mistake you don't want to make, because there it is, it saw it. The SanDisk cruiser pattern. Do you want to restore? Already contains a live system. You do not. Do you want to restore it to factory settings? Now, I know it's the right one. Of course, I just plugged it in and it popped up there, but I know because that's what I'm using as a SanDisk. Oh, now this was the system, pop up. Do you want it? You noticed you pump. What do you want to do? I'm just going to say cancel. I don't want to do anything. I am going to go ahead and hit restore, because I've got, I don't remember what it was, some other ISO I put on there. And I can't remember exactly how it's working right now, but what it has done in the past with Fedora Media Writer here is, if you didn't hit restore, it would say that you don't have to, but if you've got, it will even used to say in here, you've got enough space, you don't have to if you don't want to. Well, I was okay. Maybe I can boot them both. All it did was just neither one of them worked. I don't know if it's still like that, but to be safe, I'm going to restore. But you don't want to hit restore on anything. If you've got other, like if you're like me and you have backup, any kind of other drive in there, a USB or an SD card on a USB adapter, which I have some of those. If you got anything plugged in there, or your hard drive, I don't think Media Writer will. You notice it didn't see my hard drive. Other ISO writers, USB stick ISO writers, they will see your hard drive. So you really have to pay attention. You can destroy things real quick. And you'll see that you can see over to the left, see there's my 8 terabyte, there's the one that says Seagate expansion drive is the 5 terabyte, and then the Rescatux is the, it mounted that image. Oh, that's what's on there, Rescatux-0.71-beta7. So we'll go over here and look. Yeah, 0. I must have already written. Oh, it was the one before that, I guess. Yeah, 71B, right there. It's that one. Okay, that's the one that's on there. So yeah, I'm going to get rid of that and put this one on there. This one here. Okay, now this is the one I'm talking about, this window. If you make it full screen, then it can get so bad you can't use it. As a matter of fact, I think it's already got too bad to use. I don't know what it is. If you look over here, see, it's not using a lot of resources or anything. It's been doing that for the last 3 Fedora distros too. I don't know why it does that. It doesn't matter what machine you're on or anything, but what I'll have to do is close it and open it back up. This is System Monitor that I'm using. It is, I really like this one here because you can do that search. Oh, it's, I think it's KDE System Monitor. Yeah, KDE System Monitor. That's my favorite one. I like the way it's laid out. I can keep, see I always organize it by the most memory, but the memory and CPU kind of go hand in hand. If it's using a lot of memory, it's probably using a lot of CPU. Not always. But yeah, if there's an app that's fixing to lock up your system, you can kill it in here. But Make sure it's down. See, now I can make sure that closed. It didn't hang up or do anything wrong. I don't know why it does that, but it does work. Um, but the less things you give it to do, the less likely you are to have trouble. Okay, it still sees my SanDisk and it says don't want to restore. I'll do that first. Make sure, I'm sitting there telling myself, make sure you're on the right one. Okay, to reclaim all the space available on the drive, it has to be restored to its factory settings. Now, that is not, okay, I'll read on. The live system and all saved data will be deleted. That's what's on there is, I just showed you. You don't need to restore the drive. Oh, here it is. If you want to write another live image to it. Do you want to continue? Now, see, I read that and I said, oh, okay, then I won't do it. Well, so far, I don't remember it ever working if you don't restore it. The system that you put on there. And what happens is it just breaks the one that's on there, and the one that that you put on there doesn't work either, because they end up with the files all mingled. A lot of them, especially if they're both Fedora. Now this is actually a Debian. He's running this on Debian, so this is Debian and Debian, so it'd be the same problem. So I'm going to hit restore, rescue, and make sure it's the right drive. It doesn't usually take very long. If you're not running Fedora, then you'll have to find out which one, what media writer. I used to use UNet bootin, but I had to quit because it doesn't work with Fedora. It probably still works with Debian. I don't know if I have that UNet. Let's see if I have UNet bootin on there. Yeah, I still have it. I used to use this. I think, if it's on here, then it's probably because it still works with Debian and other distros. Okay, so now it's restored, and it's not mounted anymore. You see, it's not there. That U3 system is actually a system partition for Windows that has a few Windows apps on it that came on. It's just, it's on you can't write to it. You can delete it, but it'll just come right back. I've deleted it and gparted and stuff like that. It's only 64 megabytes, but it's wasted space. But one thing that's kind of cool, it keeps the USB stick talking to the system. Sometimes it's actually a benefit when you're doing something like what I just did. So it's still seen by the system because that partition is still mounted. It should be just fine because I've written this USB stick with Fedora Media Writer quite a few times. Well, over the years, I've had this an old USB stick, so I've written it with different older versions and bootin and all that stuff. So and each app's a little bit different on how it works. You might, sometimes when you reformat a drive, you may have to reset it, which amounts to unplugging it and plugging it back in. But see, if you still got a partition mounted, in Linux, it's best to always, if you see the partitions mounted on wherever it shows up, usually on your desktop, right click and say eject or safely remove or whatever is there. The only eject's the only option. But it should be fine. Wouldn't hurt to do it. I'm going to do it to be safe because it should be fine, but why go with that? So I'm going to say eject, and so then I can unplug it and just plug it back in. Safe to remove. Wait till that goes away before I plug it back in. Okay. Now the drive has been reset. It's not always necessary, but I find that you never know for sure whether it's going to be necessary. See, now it mounted just an, it's 2 gigabyte. It's formatted. What I was going to say a minute ago, it's not putting it back to any factory settings because it's formatted in FAT32, which is what I want. And see, there's that U3 system. It has just some Windows portable apps on it. Or even when I ran Windows XP, I didn't really have any use for those apps. So, factory settings for the newer drives they're not FAT32. They're XFAT or something. I forgot what it is, but anyway, yeah, not XFAT. Well, I don't know. Some with an X in it. I forget things too quick. But anyway. When I got my SD cards, they all were like that, and I reformatted them to FAT32 because that's what worked for me the best. Rescatux, this one, okay, open. SanDisk cruiser pattern is automatically selected. Now this is where you better really pay attention. If it's not what you need, then you'll end up destroying, you'll end up writing. Well, in this spot, now see that restore part was what reformats. That would destroy all your data. This part would not destroy your data. It would write it to what it would do. I still wouldn't want to risk messing up some other thing that would, on my USB drives, it would make them bootable, which would be a real problem because then every time I rebooted my machine, it would boot to those drives. I'm 95% sure that's what would happen in my case here. But it could also overwrite something on the drive there that I don't think there's anything that it would, but there could be something on the drive, something that makes it helps it to work right. Some of the files I could show them, but it'd be a long sidetrack. It could overwrite them and make it not mount correctly or something. I'm talking about these Seagate expansion drives here. See, I gave this one a new name so I could tell them apart, and left this one because I already had it full of data and using it as my. They're both backup drives. I back up to this one, and then it lucky backup. Then after it gets done backing up to this one from my system, then it automatically backs up to this one so that I have true redundant backups. So anyway, I always go on and on about everything else. So this is the one I want, 71 beta ISO. 71 beta, okay. Now, oh, darn you. It should still work. Yeah, that's one thing you see I click around on my different workspaces, and doing that is I guess the main thing. I keep forgetting that's the main thing that makes it act up like that. It will work though, and I can still see right to disk, so I'm going to hit. I've already selected my ISO. So if it happens to you, and as long as you've already selected your ISO, you don't need to read the interface anymore right at this moment, then it'll still work. And if you're writing Fedora ISOs, you really need to use this. I mean, it's the easiest way to do it, other than that weird thing. Unless you love working in the command line. But I don't know of enough. There probably are some other, media writer apps, ISO writers, USB stick writers that would work with Fedora. But I know one of my old favorites, Unit Booten, hasn't for several years now. So because of the way Fedora changed up the way they make their images and stuff. So anyway, but this is so I'm going to go ahead and hit right. Now see, now it went back. Okay, I got to put in your root password. But yeah, see, now it went back to the screen went back to normal, which is good. So I won't click around and go show other things like I usually do, but it won't take too long to do this anyway, because I don't want to mess that screen up to where I can't show it and can't see it. The only thing it'll do here in a minute is I'm going to click off on the desktop so I don't accidentally cancel it or anything. Only thing it'll do here in a minute is once it's done, it'll say, do you want to, I think it says, do you want to reboot? And no, I don't want to reboot. So you got to watch that. I'm making a video. I darn sure don't want to reboot. It'll reboot the system that I'm on here, expecting that you want to reboot and boot into that, USB stick that you just burned or not wrote. Used to always say burn because you were burning CDs and DVDs. So I like to go ahead and do this on the video, this part, because this is the thing that hangs most people up right here. And it's not, even if you know how to do it, there's sometimes little weird problems that come up. Especially if you're using an app you've never used before, or if you're like me and you forget that these things, like I forgot all the little ins and outs of what causes trouble with this app, and I swear for a year or so I didn't even use it at all. I just didn't. Well, it would hang up and stuff. It would do this, what it's been doing, the Fedora Media Writer, but it would also hang up and fail and not write and everything. So a year or two I didn't use it at all. But then I had to try it again whenever I was using UNet boot, and then some other ones, and some that you well, you have to write them in Windows in a Windows system, and okay, it says finished. Um, Now then, delete. I don't want to delete the download image. It's big and red, and it's like, click here, click here. No, don't click here. Okay, it doesn't say anything about reboot. It used to say, do you want to reboot? Now they've changed it to delete the download image. I just want to close it. And close media writer. Oh, yeah, see, it's still kind of out of whack, looks like. Look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and close it up there. It wouldn't work from down there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and unplug it again and plug it back in and make sure it looks like the files wrote right, like they should and everything before I go trying to boot to it. That's the easiest way to mount it, is just unplug it and plug it back in. But like I said, if you got like I do, you have another partition, yeah, that always opens up. Okay, now there it is, 71 beta. Now I'm gonna go over here and find it in my, there's the U3 system I was talking, that I, let's see, where is it? Rescatux, there we go. Okay, let's see what we got. It does not, you know what? Oh yeah, this is not, I was thinking of Fedora. This is the Bane, so. But it looks to me like it's missing some files. Got Grub and EF5 files. I don't see the. Oh, there's more than one folder here. Here we go. Now, I don't know why it's doing that. I don't think Fedora does that. See, ISO Linux. There we go. Live images. Oops. I'm using my keyboard to navigate, in case you're wondering what's going on here. Okay, yeah, for some reason, it does that with this, with the Devane, and I'd forgotten, I don't know if it's Devane or just Rescatux. This Rescatux is doing that, but so my backup 8 terabyte drive is still good, and my 5 terabyte drive, it's actually 4.5 terabytes, and 7.1 or 3 or something terabytes is what you actually get. So see, now we've got the on this stick you have the U3 system, which is what I've been talking about, and then the new partition is showing up with the name, the name of what it is now. So you see, now you can just say unmount, and then this one's still mounted, so then you say eject, then you can get it out. Okay, now get over here and I guess I might as well just show the laptop, because as soon as I jump, I'm going to go plug this in. So that's on cam 1. Okay, now make sure my sound is still good. So I'm going to plug this into the USB on the laptop up here. Okay. And that's just running my I should be able to do a desktop video, because Adrian added a VNC server on it. X11 VNC servers. And I tried that out already before, and so it should, I saw it that it boots up with the system. So hopefully I'll have to show it like this with the camera until I get connected to it though. Okay, so now let's just leave that on the camera like that, and I'll just shut the machine down. I'll just shut the machine down with the power button. It won't hurt. And I'll just hold it in for a minute there. It should just shut down normally. I was fixing to, connect to it remotely and tell it to reboot, but I don't need to do that because my server's running on the other machine. But so I'll boot it back up, and I hope, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read. I want to try reading the screen in my preview here. I'll probably have to use both. Okay, so the options are, it's on the auto, and then you could do AMD 64 failsafe, i686, just says 686 failsafe, and then there's advanced options. Oh, dang it, sorry. I'm using the wrong keyboard. I'm so used to having remote connections, I was using the wrong keyboard. So, and luckily enough, I think me and him talked about this. With this, this is just good for me though. If your screen was broken and still half working, and luckily for me, where are the arrow keys on this? I never use laptop screens. This one's really different. Okay, luckily for me, I can see the important stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go into the advanced options just to see what's in there. Okay, hardware detection tool. Oh, cool. That's and then memory diagnostic, memtest x86 or memtest 86 it says. But the hardware detection tool can be really helpful if you don't know what your hardware is. I've used it before on other rescue distros and stuff. It can be really useful to you find out what your hardware is, because you may need to know that sometimes to to run the right software and all that stuff. So really cool app to have. I'm going to use auto because it should work. That's the simplest thing to do. I would try that first, and if you know what your hardware, well, so maybe you don't know, but you could find it out with that hardware detection tool. I'm going to use auto. Did it boot? I didn't hit enter yet, but maybe it may have a timeout where it automatically boots. Yeah, it did. So I sit there and talked long enough that it just went ahead and booted to that. So and of course you won't be able to see this. It's really small text, and the screen's messed up. You can see enough, like I said, luckily. And since luckily from when it's my server, I can see enough to see if it's up and running or not. But I don't have any way to do a remote desktop during boot and all that. So, and this remote desktop, I think, is really cool to have it on here because excuse me. Oh, I know. Yes, if I move my see my mouse, if I move my you are still going to need to be able to see this screen. And let's see. Oh, I'm trying to remember. Oh, for me, how can I do this? For me, I can see it because I have a monitor plugged into it. I have a KVM switch, and I can switch between 4 different machines. So I can do this from, I forgot a minute ago. Let's see. So it says, do you want to change your monitor settings? I could say yes and make See what would happen. Well, it wouldn't really matter. I could change like the default monitor and all that stuff. Switch to, well, it's working the way I need it to though, so I'm not going to change it. So I'm going to say no. Normally what I do is I have the normally what I do is I have a camera pointed at my big monitor instead of like I have it now, but I'm using the other camera. My camera too is pointed at the window as a security camera, and I'm leaving it there for a while. So that's why I was using that small old webcam as a camera on me. Okay, so I'll just have to, for this part, I'll have to just tell what's going on. Whoops, I made it. And you can make the menus full screen or small if you want. And of course, if you touch them in the right place, they jump to full screen. Yeah, every time I try to drag it over, it jumps to full screen. I was going to try to, it doesn't, I think it's because I have it up at the top. Let's see. Yeah. But if I don't, yeah, if you jam it up against the top, I was trying to slide it over so you could see it's just no and yes. That's all it is. There's no point. Okay, so I'm going to say no. It's to the, where you can't see it at all. Oh, I didn't change the, yeah, I just remembered I could change the brightness of my camera to help you be able to see that a little bit better. Completely forgot about that. Let me do it. Because I know all you can see is white. It's not much help. I went to all the trouble to get it up and close and straight, the camera and all that, and then I forgot all about one thing that I always do when I'm pointing the camera at the monitor is change the brightness where it can be seen. So and get this to where I can do it. Yeah, there we go. Exposure compensation. Yeah, now you can at least tell what's going on here. Usually don't go near that far. Okay, I think that'll be good right there. Now, so we'll still leave it on the camera like that. I'll get over here. You wouldn't want to see the screen anyway. The cable's bad. The cable is just about broke that I've got plugged into the laptop and everything's purple. Okay, do you want to change your monitor settings? All right, now you can at least see what that kind of looks like. Okay, so no. Now, do you want to change your language? No, I don't. Do you want to change your keyboard? No. Do you want to keep running VNC server? It says recommended answer no, which, that would be, most people aren't going to need that, and it could be a security risk if you're somewhere like in a public network or maybe, I don't know where, but anyway. I'm going to say, do you want to keep it running? Yes, I do, because I'm fixing to connect to it. Do you want to change the default VNC password? Rescatux, recommended answer, yes. Now, I changed it. RSCATUX. Okay, I changed it. Well, I was trying to do it in VirtualBox, and I think my problem is I couldn't connect to it. It's different. It kept trying to connect, but it couldn't. So I'm going to leave it this time. Or yeah, Rescatux. So I I didn't notice that it was saying in parentheses Rescatux, which that's pretty obvious to me that that means that's the default password. So could change it. Yeah, let's go ahead and change it. If I have trouble, I can always reboot. I don't necessarily want to, but yeah, we can show the process, I guess. Okay, new password here. Let's see. It's going to show up. I'm just going to make it something, you know, it doesn't really matter. I'll make it something simple. All right. Now, the server will be restarted with a new password. Press OK. All right. Well, I hope that's not something that doesn't work right. All right. Now, it tells you your IP address right there. And that's 192.168.0.182. That's the same as it always. Well, I have that machine to always get that. And the port, it's running tight VNC server, listens on port 5900 on these IPs. 127.0.0.1. I've never used. I don't know if you can go to. I've never tried it. That's the loopback port. I've never tried to go to anything that way. I actually don't know what the next one means. It's ::1, and then the IP, and then the IPv6 address. I would never try to use those, but it puts them all out there. So I'm going to be using my remote desktop viewer here on my machine, and but if I need to, I can use. I think I have tight VNC viewer if my regular viewer doesn't work. That could have been the problem, but I used it before, so it should work. Anyway, 0.182. Okay, now. Okay, it's been completed. Please press OK to start the Rescap. Enjoy. Now I'm going to leave it right there and try to connect to it. Bring that up there so you can get some idea of what it says, but I'm not going to click OK yet. Get back on my machine. I want to make sure my sound is. Oh, it's behind again. Okay. I don't know what the deal is with my phone 3 that I'm using for my Wi-Fi mic, but it's acting up tonight. It was so far behind I couldn't use it, and I tried to start my stream 3 times. So let me switch. Let me get on the desktop. See, audio cam 3. It's gotten so behind that it's not going to make any sense. What I'm showing is different from what I'm doing. Switch to my SM58. The only reason I was wanting to use that lapel mic the whole time, I was going to try to use it the whole time, because I'm running that red black bow start sitting on the desk right next to my mic stand, and it makes a little background noise, a little vibration noise, even though I have it all padded with rubber, my mic stand and all. Okay, it's not bad though. In my tests, I really could barely hear it. So a few videos a while back, I'd forgotten about that possibility, and that was irritating to me to hear that. Okay, so let's get in. I like remote desktop viewer. Let's see what the name of it is. Vinegary. The name of it is Vinegary. And let's see, what was it? 182. I think I've been there before. So in this app, you don't have to put in the IP. So you select what type of connection you want, and so it automatically. You have to put in the IP. You don't have to put in the port. If you see in here, so at different times, for some reason, I put the port in there. I don't know if I just forgot or what, but I'm almost certain you don't have to put in the port, unless, like with different servers, you do. What I mean is the port is sent out by this app. to. These, you know, machines I've connected to recently. So let's see. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I think the problem I had earlier was when on remote VNC on. I was running it in VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox. The problem I was having was something to do with that. Now, how do you get out of full screen mode? I want to make sure I remember how to get out of there first. Okay, F11. There we go. I'll just use that. I'll get in there with F11 and then I'll get out with F11. Because this one doesn't have a menu that drops down that you can use the mouse to get in and out of full screen. Okay, so here's the menu that I was, normally it's like in the middle here. So the wizard is completed. Press OK to start the Rescap. Enjoy your recovery. Checking my sound again. Okay, now it's going to open up Rescap. Now, something that he added from the last time I tested it, I really liked. Stuff like that, all this pictures and stuff. That's, you know, that's great. It's good information, and I, you know, keep picture and all that. But it distracts my eyes so much I can hardly read the screen I'm trying to read. That's why I do all my work. Everything I try to open it up in full screen mode like that, and I use, you know, like 6 different workspaces, or I usually, a lot of times I'll just call them desktops. It's one thing I love about Genome 2. It just defaults to, well, it defaults to 2 or 4 or whatever. But anyway, you can put how many you want. But you may have noticed when I'm working, I switch around, and it's real fast too. Okay, so now that I'm just talking about my Fedora system, but here in the Rescap, this is what helps you fix your system when your boot's broken, or you lost your password or forgot it or whatever. Okay, so now let's read the instructions here. This is a self-test window from Rescap. It allows you to check if Rescap will work on your live system or not. Some unlock found. Sam unlocked found. Oh, I think that's Windows password files. Running inside Rescatux. SE Linux support check. Yeah, I was thinking he was telling me that wasn't going to work yet, but it says check. Okay, booted in BIOS non-UEFI mode. Yeah, I'm not UEFI. The system's doesn't have that kind of BIOS. Okay, so still, that threw me off before. There's a check there, but it's not green. So I think, I don't know why that's that way. So I don't know if that means it's booted check, but it's in, well, it says booted in BIOS non-UEFI mode. Okay, so I don't know why those checks are green and that one's blue or something. I don't know what that means. Okay, and then UEFI secure boot mode off. Yeah, because it doesn't have it. This system doesn't have that. It's older than that. Okay, now SAM unlock binary found at user bin SAM unlock. Oh, I've forgotten what SAM is. I was thinking it was to do with Windows password files, but this is not a Windows system, so it doesn't have that on there. Maybe it just means it's found in the Rescap. I'm not sure. Okay, more troubleshooting tips, please refer to the website or ask in chat. There's a chat built into this. I shall say it in a minute. Self-test log file will be found at home user Rescap, so-and-so, so-and-so. Now we're going to start Rescap, bottom right. Okay, now, I guess since, let's see. Oh, it's a little bit off the, no, it's not. Oh, okay. So, I was already in full screen mode, but and you can drag it down. Now, the last time I ran it, you couldn't do any of this. It stayed in the small screen, and it made it hard for me. I like to have it where I can see everything possible. You still have some paging up and down to do, but you know nothing's cut off except for a tiny little bit of that help menu. But it's I don't know why that's not. Oh, this is in remote desktop. That's why. If you were just on your machine, I'm sure that wouldn't be cut off at all. Okay. Sometimes I forget where I'm at and where I'm working. Okay, so I'm not going to run these things. There's nothing broken on the laptop, you know, as far as Grub or anything, but I'm just going to look it over. That's really what Adrian is wanting anyway, is to kind of see, you know, my take on it and how other perspectives, you know. So there's help, web, chat. Here's the chat right there. If you can, I guess if you did that, I don't know if he has other people or if he's the only one. I know that sometimes you would be talking to him. I don't know if I ever did it, but he couldn't. Of course, he can't do it all the time. But I think maybe he may have some other people that help him that try to be on there. Of course, like at oddball times like this, you might not find anybody there. It's 5:11 a.m. You know, on Sunday morning. There's the log. You can share the log on a Pastebin or something. Yeah, Pastebin, paste.debane.net, or you can share it on the Rescatux forum. That would be if you need to get help. And then the boot, easy GNU Linux boot fix, change UE, I never can say that right, UEFI, I think that's why most people say EFI. Boot order, check UEFI boot, create UEFI boot entry, partition status, and that's a new one to me. I'm not quite sure what that is. Fake Microsoft Windows UEFI. I'm sure that's to work around some kind of problem with Windows. Hide the Microsoft Windows UEFI. Reinstall the Microsoft Windows UEFI. Let's see. And Grub. This is the one I have used it to fix Windows boots before in the past, the older versions. But what I was usually doing was fixing Grub. Grub is the bootloader for that most Linux distros use. There are a couple others, Lilo and I can't think of the names of the others. There's some that you use like on your, on your Android phones and tablets. So there's different ones that you can use on them if you're going to customize those. But of course, they still run on the Linux. Basically, Linux sort of. Linux kernel. They always say it runs on the Linux kernel, but when you look through the system, it looks just like a Linux system. Doesn't have all the features though. Okay. So fix your boot, your GNU Linux, easy GNU Linux boot fix, which means fixing Grub. Restore Grub. There may be other options there, like I said, Lilo and all that stuff. You might be able to check some of those. Update Grub menus. That can be a quick fix for things like that. You just need to update your Grub menus. Maybe you added a drive, or you did some. Maybe you're trying to dual boot Windows and Linux, and it's something didn't. Well, for instance, if you're going to dual boot Windows and Linux, and you have Linux on there first, and then you install Windows, the Windows installer will break your Grub, but this would fix it for you. You wouldn't want to do restore Grub. Really, I think. Let's see. No, you'd have to. Well, you might have to do. If you had Grub on there already, you might be able to use restore Grub. Update Grub menus would be if you just need to. I can't give examples right now. My head's not going straight. Anyway, you know something should be there and it's not there. Use the update Grub menus and it should make it show up. Like a new kernel or something, or I don't know. I can't. That usually works anyway. But or you might want to just do easy, boot fix, Grub boot fix. Check BIOS Grub partition on GPT. Now that's the other kind of partition that Windows uses. But if you're doing a dual boot, you may have that. If you're doing anything from Windows 7 on up, you're probably going to have a GPT. Not necessarily, because well, I've installed it without it. First, it threw me in circles when I first ran into it in Windows 7, and then I realized, well, it doesn't have to be there. It's just what they usually do. And so when I put it on several machines without that. Let's just go on through. Well, let's see what this looks like first, because I'll probably forget. I want to just click on it, see what it looks like. Okay, so if you goes in here and it has at the top, you got menu, back, and run, but you want to read the instructions, even if you know, if you've used it before, because something may have been changed in the updated version. It tells you what's going to happen, what's going on. Let me go a little slower so I can. I'm going to read it all. I'm just not good at doing that, reading stuff out loud. But restore Grub to the MBR, master boot record. That's the previous setup before EFI, and I'll just say that. I think I can remember to say that. Yeah, I didn't see anything about. So you'd have to. Now I'm going to click. You'd have to. I don't know. There may be different things about. All those screenshots are of the old interface, the way it used to look. I just noticed that. Oh, and when you go back, it doesn't do anything. Click it again, and again. There you go. Took 3 times. Hey, Adrian told me why, and I forgot why he has it that way, but that's actually on purpose. I just thought it wasn't working. Every time I what the heck? You know, my mouse not working. What's going on? But anyway, there's actually a method to that madness. I forgot what the method is. May not be. It's not necessarily madness, I don't think. So it's some. Oh yeah, it's something about the way the underlying programming of this interface he used. Something about the way it works. And it kind of made that necessary. But anyway, okay, now the file system check, forced fix. So if you had a broken file system like Linux, Fedora runs on ext, it uses ext4, and uses, I forget, they keep changing it, but like your boot partition used to be just a standalone ext4, and then you had an LVM, logical volume management, with usually an ext4 and maybe something else in there. Now I think it's all inside an LVM. I forgot, but anyway, I went around and around with that recently when I was installing Fedora 29 on that laptop. I did it over and over because that hard drive was, and Adrian gave me a real good tip. I think I'd read it or heard it before years ago and forgot, but the hard drive is in pre-failure mode, but it's actually not throwing as many errors and have as many bad sectors as others I've been using for years, you know. But it would let you format it. I'm talking about that Acer laptop. It'd let you format it all day long to whatever you want, but then when you started writing to it, it would start getting write failures and I/O errors, in and out errors, and then if you try to install a distro to it, you know, it would get almost finished and then fail. And he said, well, if you'll go start your first partition like 20 to 40 megabytes in from the beginning of the drive, it may work because the drives typically wear out at the beginning of the drive. And so I did a manual setup. Instead of letting Fedora do it for me, I set up my partitions and then installed to those partitions, and it's been running like a top for months now. It may fail one day, but it's not, you know, it's my web server, and all it has on it is my web server. And of course, my web server would be down, but I wouldn't lose any important data or anything because that's all backed up. But, you know, if you fiddle around with old machines a lot like I do, then that's pretty welcome to not have to spend money on a hard drive, you know. Thanks again, Adrian. It's still working. Okay, so check the enforce fix. Sometimes your file system will get broken, and I'm not sure if that just automatically detects whether it's what file system it is. Let's see. This is going to be, yeah, this is going to be for Linux. I don't believe it would do NTFS. I'm not sure. I guess I should say FSCK. Oh, yeah, I think that's the Linux command or application. Yeah, so that wouldn't be for Windows. It would be for Linux. Oh, that time it went right back. One click. I don't know. I guess you could kind of consider that. I was going to say that's the Linux section, but it doesn't necessarily say that. But anyway, I just happened to know that because of the app that I saw that it was going to run. And then, in case you missed it up here, there's Easy GNU Linux boot fix again. Now, passwords. Change your Linux password. Regenerate sudo file. Now, I've never dealt with that. I don't really like using sudo. I just always, I use Fedora, which doesn't make you use sudo, and the Bane, which doesn't make you use sudo. So I just always type, instead of typing sudo to get sudo root privileges, almost root privileges, kind of like root privileges. There are some things you can't do with sudo. It's always a headache to me. I just type su to get full root privileges, and then I do my work that way. Unless I have to, there's some, if you're following instructions and stuff in the command line, you may, and different operating systems or whatever. Like sometimes if I fool around with a new one and learning about it, you'll have to do it with sudo. But blank Windows password, that's really useful. So yeah, so there's not a Linux and Windows section because those are, see, that's Linux, and then that's Windows. In the Easy Windows Admin, I'm not quite sure what that one does. Let's see. Seems to be the instructions are blank. Let's see. NT all the way up to 7. Let's go back and see if it. Is that it? I think that's like a whole bunch of instructions. Okay, well, I don't know. Let's try it one more time. Where was it? Yeah, that page is either not there yet, or there's a little bug in the interface. Something. Maybe he just hasn't got that. This is beta, so maybe he hasn't got that finished yet. And the blank Windows password instructions. Maybe that's a little bug in the interface. Let's see. Because this looks like if you click one time, it goes back to resetting Windows passwords. And of course, I wasn't taking enough time to look and see if it said something about that easy admin thing. I think what it's doing is, what I'm expecting to see is giving you administrator rights, easy Windows admin. Because, that's like root, like in Linux, you need root privileges. Well, in Windows, you need administrator privileges to do something, a lot of things. And then Windows, restore Windows MBR, restore the Windows master boot record, easy Windows admin again. Let's see if it works from there. Nope, same thing. Okay. So many buttons, I'm not clicking on them all because I don't want the video to be 4 hours long. But hitting the high spots. Let's see. Lost my place. Okay, here we go. Yeah, blank the window. Promote Windows user to admin. Now that's what I was thinking that might be. Oh, look, there we go. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if that easy Windows admin is the same thing as promote Windows user to admin or not. Might be. Unlock Windows user. Kind of seems like the same set of instructions. Okay. Reinstall Microsoft Windows UEFI. Now, I've never done that. Never had it. I had a system with it on there, and then when I reformatted it, it had so much trouble getting it to work right that I just did it without UEFI. That was a system that you could do either way, you know. I think I've been reading that you don't have the choice on the newer machines. Sorry, but I haven't got anything like that, so. Gonna get a little drink of coffee there. It's cold, but it still soothes the throat. GPT Sync, Recompute Hybrid GPT MBR CHS, check files, Grub partition on GPT. Expert tools, Gparted PhotoRec test disk. Okay, let's see what GPT Sync is. I don't know what it is. Create a hybrid MBR inside a GPT partition. Oh, that might be useful if you need an MBR for, say, a Linux distro that needs MBR, but you have the GPT and you need to use that. GPT, if I remember right, is usually the first partition in a Windows system, and if you don't have an MBR, then I'm thinking you'd be able to put your MBR information inside the GPT. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just guessing here. Okay, Gparted. I'm going to click on it. Oh, it tells you what it is. I thought it was going to open it up. It'll tell you how to open it up, and I'll show you in a minute here. Oh, well, let's just show you right now. I know where it is. Gparted. Now that is, I'm going to open it. This is my favorite partitioning tool. So you're talking about ext4. This is the Acer laptop. This is see, dev SDA is 1 gigabyte. That's the boot partition. And then the Linux swap partition is 2.79 gigabytes. Then the LVM2 PV is what they're called now. Let's make this bigger so maybe we can see. Well, it's still cut off, but Fedora Bishop Co. Acer. That's the name of the machine. Okay, so see, it's 229 gigabytes, and it's inside of the LVM. So this is how Fedora 29 automatically laid out my system. Only thing I did was I don't remember exactly what I did. I think I don't know how I made this work, but this is what I was talking about. I skipped the first 20 megabytes by using Gparted, I believe is what I used. I think I just formatted the whole rest of it ext4 and then said, okay, when you go to install Fedora, I want you to use that partition. And so it just automatically divided it up and did it how it needed to be. So, and you can do, I'm click up there just to make sure I don't mess up anything. You can do, like say if I right click and I say new, I have the choice of, it defaults to primary partition. I'm not going to do this, but you can do extended partition. If you don't know what all this is, then you need to learn before you start trying to do it. But you've got the choice of ext2, 3, and 4, FAT16, and I think you can't do FAT32 because there's not enough space there is what that problem is there, 20 megabytes. I'm almost certain of that. So you could do a swap. These are the things you could do in this particular free space. But all the ones that are not highlighted, XFS, that's not, I don't, was I talking about that? SD cards. I don't know if I was talking about in this video or not, but see, is it XFS? I think it's even another one. See, there's a lot to remember. That's why I forget sometimes. XFAT, EXFAT, that might be the one. It's either XFAT. No, I think it is XFS. Now I don't know. Anyway, one of those two is the one that SD cards come formatted in most of the time these days. And I think the newer USB sticks do too. And they don't work well with, well, for instance, like if you're wanting to burn Linux ISOs to them. FAT32 is the best one for that. Actually, you can't use the XT4 on hardly any of them. Won't work right. So anyway, I'm going to hit cancel and get out of here. But this is a cool formatting tool. It's my favorite one. Way easier than trying to do all that in the command line. I wouldn't try that myself in the command line, because you could destroy. You can make one little typo and destroy the wrong drive, you know, and stuff like that. So, but I don't know why I'm flipping up and down that. Okay, so let's go back to the bottom here. Photorec. Let's open it up. I think it may be. I keep thinking it's going to open it up. Where is it? Where it says what Photorec is? Well, I already know what Photorec is. So, yeah, Photorec, and it's Photo Recover. I guess that's what it stands for. Test disk. Go ahead and kind of minimize. Oh, there are two desktops on here. So see, I can do like I like to do. I'll just leave that big and then go to this other desktop or other workspace. Okay, so here's what comes. There's not a lot, you know. This is a rescue system. It's not meant to be your main system. So it has a text editor, FeatherPad, file manager, PCMan, now archiving. You know, open up zip files and you know, different kind. I can't say the different types of archive files. Graphics, you've got a screenshot tool and an image viewer. Then you do have a Conman UI set up. Oh, I guess that's to set up the user interface. Firefox ESR, lightweight Firefox, chat. That's how you would chat with them. X11 VNC server, he added that. This is what he was doing, and we were talking back and forth about. And it's what I'm using to be able to show you this video. And it's great for this, and it's great for me because if I want to work on another machine, but not be on it, say like a laptop, and I don't want to tap on the laptop screen, and I don't want to, I have the KVM switch, but maybe I don't want to unplug everything and plug it into the, you know, plug it all up, then I could just do it with VNC. Now I can, with the way he's got this, it starts up with it running, so it's awesome. But the one thing that I think would be really cool is your average computer user, even if they want to get into Linux, they're probably not gonna. I don't want to. I don't like using these words like overwhelmed and it's confusing and all that, like all these, you know, corporate advertisers do on TV, but I can't think of other words right now. This right here is not at all, you know, impossible to learn or super hard to learn. As a matter of fact, the way it may look like there's a lot of stuff in here, but you know, if you just get in here into the Rescap, and I want to fix my Windows boot, or I want to fix my my Linux boot, then that's what you focus on, and you open that up and you read the instructions. And this is how I learned it. I never had to go to their website and read all the instructions over on their website. I read them right here in the live system and did what it said. And if you do it very often, you'll remember it, you know, and don't even have to read the instructions to do it. It's still a good idea to go through them because if it's been a while, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Because, you know, they change things once in a while. So I noticed that was still up even when you go to the other desktop, which is not like, that's not the way my desktop does. So yeah, if just to pick, you know, if you see what you need to do in there, and then read the instructions and do it. But what I was trying to say was, maybe you and me have learned how to do it, or will learn, or willing to learn how to do it, or have the aptitude in this direction to learn these kind of things and do them. And maybe you have friends and family that don't and won't. Then with the VNC server, you can help them remotely. You would have to. You can help them remotely from your home, from your home to their home with VNC. Now you'll have to, you'd also have to help them open up their router, so that you could get through there from the internet. But that depends on the person whether or not you could walk them through that over the phone or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is you could do this over the phone. I did this years ago, not with any of this, long before I got into Linux in 2005. I was running when XP was still brand new. Windows XP was still brand new. I'd really gotten into Real VNC, Windows VNC app. That's where I learned VNC. I was trying to think, what does VNC stand for? Probably virtual. No, not. I don't know what it stands for. I was going to say virtual network connection, but that doesn't really make sense. I used to know what it meant. Anyway, I built a machine, XP machine, for a friend, and I went ahead and installed Real VNC on it, and I opened up the firewall. He didn't have a hardware firewall, or did he? No, I guess he didn't. I think he was just using his modem from his ISP, I guess, and anyway, I explained to him how, and showed him, I think. And then over the phone, when he'd have trouble, I would say, go to what'smyip.com, and like, what is it? What'smyip.org or something like that. I'm just mumbling here. Let's see. I'll open up the Firefox and we'll just show it. Since I think this is so cool, I think I will go ahead and kind of explain what I'm talking about. Let's open up. Firefox loves itself, doesn't it? Let's see. Well, normally I have a little search bar over here, but let's see if we can. I think it might be what'smyip.org. Yeah, well, this is one of them anyway. There's plenty of them. So when you go there, it right there at the top, this is my public IP. So it will tell you your public IP. And so you get your friend to do this, and they tell you the IP. You get them to read you off the number. You're on the phone, and they're running. You've given them or sent them USB stick or a CD. If their machine has CD DVD drive, then you can do it that way. But of course, most machines will, from dual cores on up, will boot to USB sticks by default. You don't have to get in the BIOS or anything. So if you're lucky like that, then you don't have to go through on the phone trying to tell them how to do it. And if you have to go through all that many steps, then you're probably just going to get on the machine yourself. But if the machine, like most of the machines I have now, will boot to a USB stick without messing around in the BIOS. So then all you have to do is walk them through this right here. So I'm going to copy and paste that in there. Now you're going to see my website because I'm running a web server. So this is my website, and that's what you'll see. Now, if you were going to go to, I wouldn't do it in the browser, but you can. And I don't have 5901 would be to do it. See, there's nothing to connect to. 5900 would be, I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm not running VNC while I'm running it here. Let's see. Well, can't connect to my, let's see. I don't think there's a VNC client on here. Let's see. Yeah, there's the server set up. That's what that is. And that's already set up, so you don't need to do that again. Well, I can, let's see. Yeah, there's no client. He didn't put a client on here, so, because, you know, you wouldn't expect to be needing to do that. I can show you on my regular machine. Let's see. I'm just looking at, all of a sudden I got sidetracked looking at that stuff. Okay, so let's go back to Rescat. Let's see. Okay, let's go back to my, okay, now we're on, now see all my workstation, my workspaces, my desktops. Okay, so yeah, see, I'm already connected using my client, my remote desktop viewer, to this machine. But what you would do is you'd do that. Whoops, I've got something else in my, I don't know how that got in there. It's got that in there, that where I was at, instead of the IP address. Well, now I've already closed it, but I thought I closed that. Yeah, I don't want to run too many things on there for no reason. Okay, so so I'll open up my browser in my machine, since it's wanting to go to what's my IP. Since that's what's in my keyboard. I don't even have that in my favorites. Let's see if I can. I usually can't remember. Trying to find a place to put the. This machine doesn't have so I'll put that in there, I guess. Okay, so that's, like, again, that's my, you know, my public external IP address. And of course it tells a little bit about your ISP and stuff. There it is again. And it tells what your browser is, Fedora Linux. And that's all. More info about you page. I'm not sure what all. There are things that can be found out that you may not want to be shown on the internet to everyone, especially if you're not running a web server or anything. You might, that'd be another whole thing to learn about. But of course, I'm running a web server and everything. Okay, so I think you can open up two connections in here in this app. See, I have KRFB for when I want to turn on a VNC server, and then I have the remote desktop viewer for when I want a client from when I want to connect. Let's put this in here. I don't know why I'm doing this, because there's nothing to connect to on the internet. I'm kind of getting myself turned around, but anyway, if you were running, oh, I guess I was seeing, I would have to see my, as I showed a minute ago, you saw my website. My router is pointing Port 5900 is not open. Okay, so let's go. I'll just go into the ports. See, for instance, there's my website. That's what you're going to get because I have port 80 open, and well, the one 445 or whatever. Let's see. We'll get in there and I'll show. So this, all the routers are different, and so you would have to be, you'd have to know something about the router. If they're using a router, some people don't. Some people just use their. If you have for instance, like cable internet, like I have, then the modem is actually has a little router built into it too, and it will serve up to that one machine. It'll actually serve up a bunch of. If you had, say, a switch, I have a switch as well. A switch doesn't put out IP addresses, so if you plugged a switch into that, it would have an 8-port switch, so you could have 8 machines connected up with just your router, your modem, just your modem and your switch. But I have my switch plugged into my router, so it gets its IPs from the router. So anyway, features, port forwarding. Okay, so see, I have this is how I made my port 80, and then the HTTPS, SSL connections on 443, and then printer and stuff. So you have to, now most routers these days, you have to do both of these. You have to do, this is kind of confusing. Port forwarding, you have to set them out. Now you would be setting it up to 5900. See, I don't have that turned on. I could turn it on, but seeing this pointed to my same machine that I'm running as my server right now. Oh, that's why that didn't work the other day when I tried to connect to that. I wonder why I don't have that turned on. I was wanting to connect to it and it didn't work. And I knew it used to work. And right now that's actually kind of important because I'm doing it right now because it's important because my video card's not working. I've got an onboard video. Well, I had a video card. The fan broke on it. Took it out. And I haven't got back around to fixing it and putting it back in. And the onboard, it has an onboard video, but it doesn't have the right driver. But it's still, you can just boot it up and it'll be my server. And what I was doing is connecting to it on remote desktop. Now, I'm not quite sure why I don't have. I can't remember. Oh, just for VNC, you don't have to do this, or else I would have had it in there. I was messing around with setting up a DNS server. That's why that's there. And anyway, you have to do, see now, virtual server, you have to do both. You have to do port forwarding and virtual server. For VNC, I don't think you have to. But anyway, you have to do both in most of these routers. You have to do virtual server and port forwarding. And it port forwarding depends on how your machine is set up. I'm going to try connecting to 117 and see if it's working. If it's not, now imagine this is explaining how to. Okay, so that didn't work, so now I'm wondering if let's go back over here. If it's on enable, let's edit it. Okay, now that's my machine I was just talking about. Now let's do my external port. Okay, now that's port forwarding, and then you'd still have to do a virtual server in order. Okay. Now I'm getting it's back in my head. If all you want to do is local networking, you can just use the port forwarding. But if you're going to the internet, then you need, what happened? You want to abandon it, cancel. You got to hit save on this router before you go to the next thing. Luckily, it warns you anyway. Okay, now I would not leave this like this. 0. What happened there? 2.168.0.82. That's not. It's a completely random port there. I forgot what that was. What's my IP? There it is. Let's copy it from down here. Let's see if it. No, you gotta have the dots. Copy. Okay, now something's going kind of weird with my 47241582. Am I just crazy? I'm not bothering to read it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now that is the port forwarding. You got to, if you're going to go to the internet, I did it again. If you're going to go to the internet, as you can see, you got to have your head straight to do this. You need to be familiar with it. I'm familiar with it, but I don't have my head straight. Okay, so I want VNC, yeah. So I'm going to edit it. I'm just going to change this one to VNC. Leave it just like that. You might, if you're doing it over the internet, you know, and no, you don't have to. I think you can still use, well, you could use 5901 instead of 5900. That is what you use for the web browser by the standard. I can't remember. I don't think it would matter, but since the web browser uses 5901, well, I think that tells it. No, I don't think it would make any difference. Let's do 5900 for now. I'm getting kind of off here, more of a sidetrack than I wanted to. 5900. Save. The other one's 5900. Yeah, 5900. Okay, so that would have to be done for you to connect to them. Now, if they don't have a firewall on their router, they're not, you know, like if they don't, they're, like I said, if they're just using a modem. Back in the days when I did that, he was on, I think, DSL, and he had no firewall to worry about other than the Windows XP firewall. And I built the machine, so I set it up to accept that. Back in those days, there wasn't so many people crawling the internet trying to find open ports, so you didn't have to worry so much. It had a password, you know. Even if they found the open port, they wouldn't, still wouldn't be able to. Oh, I'm going to the web browser. Leave that like it is. Okay, so go back over here in my connection. Now let's see if it would try to connect. It's trying to. It was closed. Okay. Oh, right. Because okay. I did again. I was trying to connect to my machine. Like I said, my head's turned around. The machine I'd want to try to connect to is the one I'm already connected to. This one. This is the one that's serving up VNC. So I'm going to disconnect so that I can reconnect. But I'll do it. I was trying to do it through the internet. That's what I was trying to do. Oh, I need to. Okay, 182, 0.182. So instead of connecting to it on my local network, hit cancel. Okay, yeah. You got to set your ports right. Why does that say 0.182? I don't know. That is what I want. What, did I do it right on that one? Do it wrong on that one? I put that other address in there. Back me up on this. You've been watching the video. but it's showing the one that is the server. It's like it automatically changed it. And I never seen it do anything like that before, but it's showing the right one. So only thing I might need to do then is change it to 5901, because maybe it needs to be the one that's considered the external internet port, like for the web browser. Okay, now if it's serving it up on port forwarding and virtual server, then I should be able to connect through the external port. See, that's the external IP, but it doesn't. External port, internal port. Let's hit edit on there. Let's say 5901. Let's see if that would make it work. I don't remember. It's been years since I've done this, so like over 10 years since I've tried to connect to somebody over the internet. Oh, I see. The IP's wrong. Oh. It looks similar, but 0.182. Yeah, 0.182. It was missing the 1 there. That was probably what it was then. I don't think we need to change that. I think that was it. 0.182. Let's look at the other one. Yeah, they both have to be right. Now, as you can see, if you'd have to set this up ahead of time, really. I mean, you can see you're not going to get your, if your friend's 0.182, if your friend can't do Rescatux, then they probably can't do this at all. So, yeah, you'd have to set it up ahead of time like I did. Now that one is TCP and UDP. We don't need a UDP port. I think you might if you're using the web browser, maybe for Java. It usually uses Java app to do it in a web browser. 182. I'm just triple checking here. Yeah, external, internal. So we'll try this again one more time. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So see, now I've gone out through the internet and back in, which is, of course, would just slow down my connection. But that's what you can do. And this is why I think it's so cool to have VNC. But, you know, I just showed myself and everybody else, it's really a pain to get it working. And so a person that you were needing to do this for, you would need to either, you know, if they've got a router, any of your average routers, you would need to have already set their router up so that you can get in there. And or you could always set it up and then uncheck the box in this case where it's not active, and then to just if you think they could get in there and activate it. I'm going to change this to 117 because that's the machine I want to be able to do that on. Yeah, 117. Then I can use that machine. I was wanting to use it the other day, and I wanted to use it via remote desktop, but it wouldn't connect to it, and I thought it was because the server was not thought it was because the remote desktop server wasn't starting up with the machine, and I'm still not sure if it is or not. I thought I had left it to be starting up with the machine before I had my trouble with my card, because I thought I'd connected to it since I had trouble with my video card. So now we've got 117 on port 5900, no UDP, don't need that, and that was the port forwarding. Now the virtual server 170.117, external, internal. Okay, so we should be good there. Now I'm going to try it right quick. I'm going to see if it works. Nope. So it must not be running. I'm pretty sure I got it right. I messed up over and over with the other one. Let's get back to what we're actually doing here. 0.182. Now, okay, so yeah, I think the oh yeah, I was going to go find Fedora and test this. I got sidetracked. Okay, so normal stuff there. Oh, the server, I'll open it up. If you have, say at the beginning you turned it off, and then you say, oh wait, I want to use it, you can turn it on with this app right here. Now, the reason you notice the ports blinking to 5901, it's doing that because display O is already being shared, and I'm using it right now on 5900, so you can't use the same port again. So what you'd be doing in this case is starting it up again, another instance of it, and it automatically put it on the X11 VNC server, automatically put it on 5901. You can run 2 instances, but you don't need to most of the time unless you wanted to have more people connecting up on different well, only thing I can imagine, well, I believe you can have more than one connection on. Yeah, I think you can have more than one connection at the same time as long as it's allowed in this setup. But anyway, what I'm saying is it's doing this because it sees that it's already running on port 5900. There's other things down there you can do. You can enable SSL encryption. I saw the word finally up here. And you can say listen only on localhost. Where does it say that? Right there. Enable Ultra VNC or Tight VNC file transfer. See, by default it doesn't have any file transfer, but you could actually use, this is Tight VNC, so I guess you would want to click Tight VNC and allow file transfer. I don't know if it's enabled. I used to always use Crusader, but now it doesn't support SFTP anymore, so I have been using it once in a while, file transfer in VNC. But anyway, I'm going to hit cancel. Let me check my audio. Yeah. Okay. So, and if you've closed Rescap and go, oh crap, I wasn't done with it, then there it is right there to open it up under Other. And then you have a terminal, QT terminal drop down. Oh, I guess that's where it drops down. You can have it like minimize, and not quite sure. I think I've seen one before, but I just use things in full screen most of the time. LXQ, that's the desktop. LXQT settings, that's the desktop it's running. So then the normal things you can do in all desktops, the settings are all a little different in each one. Synaptic Package Manager. So in most live distros, you can actually use the package manager. Yeah, I've done it before when I was testing with. One time we got on Skype. First time we did it, I think first time I tested something for him, I got on Skype together, and he wanted me to install X11 VNC, and so I went into Skype and installed it. And he thought I was running commands. I didn't know he was doing it because I was having to jump back and forth between my machine and machine I was testing on, and I couldn't see what he was typing on Skype. And he was sending me commands, and I went ahead and installed it in Synaptic. And you can do that in a lot of live systems if it's allowed in the live system. You just got to watch out. You're doing it in memory, so you'll fill up your RAM and crash the system after a while if you keep doing it. I've done it enough times. Then there's log out and all that, and lock screen, which I don't really ever use. So it's a real good rescue system. It's got everything you need. I went up here. There's some shortcuts on the desktop for Rescap if you get it closed by accident, and if you want to look at the logs. Let's see what the logs. Seems to be a desktop entry. What do you want to do with it? I want to open it. I'm not going to run it. Okay, so I guess there's not really anything in the logs because Rescap hasn't been closed. I don't know. I've looked at them before. You can look at them from Rescap. I've looked at them that time when me and Adrian was, doing it live. Making a live video while we were talking on there. Let's see. Show log, share log, share log on forum. Show log. Let's see. Oh, it's going to be the instructions. So it's a desktop Rescap log. Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe I should have said execute. I didn't. I think that was an executable. Of course, you could just go into that folder, but it looks like that was a shortcut to go into that folder for you. Let's see how that works again. Okay, let's try execute and see if it opens the log. Oh, well, it executed the file manager is what it did. Yeah, PC ban. FM. So now there's only one log, so we know what to look at. So this is the logs, and if you tried to rescue something and it failed, then this is what Adrian would want to see to help you. And of course, you can look at this yourself, and you might get a clue as well. Yeah, like right there, it looks like it does work with SE Linux. Oh, it's a short log. Okay. No, yeah. It wasn't roll. I was using my mouse wheel, and it wasn't rolling. So there's the log. I'm not going to read it over too much. So there you go. So that's backwards from what I'm used to. Like I said, well, I get it now. It was not a link. That's not a link to the log file. It's a link to. That's what those are. Links or symlinks. It's a link to the file manager. Well, that way it makes sense because, see, when you execute the file manager, then if there's more than one log in there, then you'll see them all. So that works perfect. That works perfectly. You just got to catch on to how it works. And of course, that would open Rescap, and those little explanation points, I'm sure, are just a default icon for the system here. So, oh yeah. Fedora can test this. I still have not seen those. Well, those are command line apps, both of them. Let's see if they don't open up from here. Oh, maybe it tells you how to run them in here. I don't know. Maybe I'm starting to wonder if he took them out or something. Yes, I should read the instructions if I want to find out, shouldn't I? You can't hit Control F and search inside of this little window, though. Doesn't work. What is these instructions about? Seems like it's the main page, first page of the documentation instead of specifically to Okay, I'm going to try running Photorec. Now here's, see these icons, they go straight to some, I don't know what that one is. It doesn't, oh, that's Rescap. Doesn't have an icon. Okay, Photorec. Let's see if we can run it without being root. You're probably going to have to be root. P-H-O-T-O-R-E-C. There we go. Please enlarge the terminal. Oh, look at that. I don't remember ever seeing that before. What I usually do, I didn't do, and it wasn't going to be able to read it until. Now see, this is it has a wizard in it, and so you don't have to type out commands to use it. But and it's actually seeing my USB stick that I'm booted to. Sudo some disk won't appear unless you're root user. Right. Okay, so I'm using the arrow keys right and left. So let's do sudo. Now, there we go. Now we see the hard drive on the machine. And we'll still see my SanDisk cruiser pattern. So if you had lost files, now this Photorec is for mostly media, only media files like pictures, I think pictures and videos. It's not going to do every kind of file, but it's still very, very useful. I'm not sure. I've only used it a couple times. Usually the reason I lost files is because I had a broken partition or a lost one, and I would use test disk. So I'm going to quit this, and just to not have anything being confusing, I'm going to exit. Now I'm going to do test disk. Now I'm not sure how, he may have an automated way for you to get into it, but if nothing else, you can just, if you don't see a way to get into it, like I didn't see, a lot of distros have a symlink in their start menu, in their applications menu. Not Windows, is it? And all it is a symlink to open it up, and it'll type it into the command line for you. But you can do it this way too, get the same result. So it says, create a new log file. You'll need to do that. You see the SanDisk cruiser pattern. Same thing. You need to. In this case, that's simple. Just do sudo. You could probably type su first, and then I may try that in a minute. Type su and then open up the app, and you wouldn't get all that, but we'll see. Okay, now we got to create our log file again. Okay, so now looks just about like Photorec, but this is test disk. Okay, dev SDA. I don't want to break anything, that's for sure. See, yeah, there it is, that one there. I'm going to just run it on that one because that's that Windows one that I don't want on there anyway, the 67 megabyte. So I didn't read all that. I'm just going to go right through, and then we'll hit continue. Let's see, please select the partition table type. I may not have a partition table. Let's see. Oh, Intel, non-partitioned media. Well, this is not non-partitioned. Sun, Xbox, return. Intel is at the top. I don't know why. I guess it defaults at none. So Intel, that's what we've got. It's FAT32. Now you can analyze. You can do it. I'm not gonna. You don't get in advance unless you really know what you're doing. You can write the MBR, a new MBR to it. That's something you can do. That's not well. It's not broke, don't fix it, but if it's broke and you know that's what it is, that's great. Changing disk geometry, you can, I have fixed a disk or two, and I've broken a couple messing around with that. So now I hit the top one, I didn't see anything. This under doesn't have end mark. Oh, okay. Quick search. Doesn't have an end mark. which usually means they're broken, but I know it's not really broken. Quick search, let's do that. Doesn't seem to be, I don't think you're going to be able to keep going here. Start, end, okay, I think we're, actually seems like the whole app is hung up. See if we hit escape, we can get out of it. I don't know. I didn't keep hitting things, so. Okay, yes, I want to quit. Now, something went wrong there because of that oddball partition I selected. For one thing, that's on a USB stick, and it may not work well on a USB stick. Okay, so I'm back in the terminal again. SU, password. It may have to have a password. Yeah, I don't know what the password is, so it would be better to just do it the way I did it. The way I did it before. Create a log, okay, and since normally you would just already be going, but since you have to use sudo to be able to see the, you start you back over again. Okay, so I'm going to do the hard drive. I'll just be careful. It's Intel. This time it went to Intel. I guess it was able to see what it was. Analyze. Okay. Now. Yeah, I see start, end, and then it shows the Linux, Linux swap, Linux LVM, and of course nothing's broken, and I don't want them. Bad relative sector. I don't know if that's just there or, oh, bad relative sector. Maybe, this hard drive does have some errors, but it's running fine, so I don't know if that's just, not sure. But I think that is not just a, see, there's nothing after it, but I don't think that's a note without information. I think that is a kind of a warning. Do a quick search. On that same, we'll just do that partition. That's the boot partition. And if there was something broken and lost, it would show recoverable. Let's try a deeper search, because on that small 1 gigabyte, it won't take too long. Yeah, see, there's other older boot partitions. I've reformatted this thing several times trying to get it to work. So this can save you. If you've lost a partition, it's broken, and you've lost data. Not only maybe you don't even care if it won't boot again, but you've lost data that you want. You can use this to get it back. Let's see. It says you're still in the stop mode. Let's see. It may take longer than I think. The more data you have on the drive, the longer it takes. Okay, yeah, it's still working. I'm not trying to do anything, so I'm thinking of hitting stop, but I wouldn't mind waiting until it gets to the. Well, see where it is? It's at 280 of 30,400. Let's hit stop. But it's analyzing sector by sector. And I wouldn't ever do any work without finishing that scan. But I'm just running through the example. I've never, in one of these videos about Rescatux, said, really went into any explanation about what, some of these extra tools are, and these are really cool, powerful tools. So I thought this time I'm just decided to do it. So where is the exit? Well, escape usually does it, or you can just close the program. But you would have to, and this, I learned how to use this program by reading these menus, and then I had to get outside and do some searching, like I was talking about changing the. Learn about sector sizes on hard drives and stuff to get into that advanced stuff. But well, I won't say you can just recover partitions without. I did already know about basics about partitions and everything. So it's a great program. If you don't just mess with it, you could just destroy all your data and lose everything if you don't learn enough to know what. Before you go, learn something. Before you hit go. And I don't see the exit command in here anywhere, or quit command. So I'm going to just close it. Sure you want to exit. Yes. Okay. So that is all, that's kind of a skip and running around basics of the program and of the Rescap. I like the way it looks. I love that you can make it full screen again. I think you used to be able to do, you used to be able to do that, and then it was gone during some of these alpha, I'm going to call them alphas, versions I tested. And so I love to see that. And I really like the VNC. I can really see me getting use out of it. Well, not as much as I used to, like helping people that are far away. But usually I'll either helping family and the computer's already here, or they, like my old neighbor, my friend Jeff, who gave me a bunch of these old computers. He'll bring them over sometimes, if he's got one he's stuck on. He knows quite a bit about computers, but he's real good with, he's setting up emails and doing things like that for people, setting up email programs and all that. But anyway, that is, let's see. Yeah, you can't see the, there it is. It's just because I'm on the remote desktop. Now I can close it. And if I wanted to open it up, I could just open it right there. But that is it. That's kind of the most full run through I've done, I think, on it. Well, let's open Synaptic just because I showed you that you could use it. If you've never used it, then there's maybe a couple of things you might need to know about it. If you were trying to do something and the app wasn't there, you can just open up Synaptic, and you have to wait for it to load everything. And that explains the basics of what's going on. And it says you should reload the package information regularly, otherwise you could miss important security upgrades. Well, and if you're searching for something, close this. That right there, hit reload before you even start, because of course this is a live distro and it's going to be way behind, but if you were searching for an application, then you may not find it. You'll think, well, my gosh, there's nothing here, Well, it's not that it's not there, it's because you didn't update the repo cache, the repository cache. Okay, so now you can search. I'm just going to search for VNC. I'm going to see what VNC clients, like say if you wanted to, you shouldn't need to do that, but that's just what came into my head. You're going to get a lot of stuff, but you can search with more than one word in here, and it works really pretty darn well. Okay, see, there's KRFB, the one I was showing that I use on my Fedora machine to start up the server. Well, you don't need to do that because you don't need this because it's Adrian has already installed X11 VNC. KRDC is the viewer that's for the KDE desktop, but it just turned out that the KRFB was the easiest one to start and stop at will in the GUI, in the graphic user interface, in my Fedora system. Used to, there was one that came with it, and all you had to do is just turn it on and turn it off. And see, Romania is one of the viewers. It's got a whole bunch of plugins and stuff. That's a desktop client. And I was going through real fast without even really looking. But just for instance, if you were wanting to connect to a remote machine for some reason, there's Tiger VNC is the server I noticed he had installed on there. I don't see that it shows to be already be installed. The one, it's called X11. I don't know. I saw Tiger on it. Where is it? X11 VNC server. That's what it's called. But at the top of it, it said Tiger VNC. But this is the regular Tiger VNC right here. But for some reason, he liked that other one better. I'm sure. I mean, it works great. I think it's great, the one that he's using. Vinegary is the viewer that I like. So you say you could install that, and then I'd be able to connect to another. The only VNC server I have running right now is, I guess it's not running on that Red Black BioStar. I couldn't connect to it. I might have messed up. I'll go back later after I get done with my video and see if I messed up my port forwarding and stuff. Oh yeah, I don't want it forwarded to the internet. I did mess up. I only want it on the local network. Maybe that's why I couldn't connect to it, because it was sending it out to the internet instead of to the local network. With me doing that, I may have figured it out. Okay, yeah, there's another server, Vino. That's the one I used to use. And yeah, here you go, X11 VNC. So he has, now when he was having me do this while we were talking live on Skype, I just went in here and did it this way, installed X11 VNC while he was at the same time typing me commands over there on Skype. But like I said, I had gotten off of my machine, and because I was doing it on a laptop, testing it on a laptop, and but I didn't have a VNC connection. We were trying to set one up, and so I had to get over there on the laptop. Therefore, I couldn't see I was using my KVM switch to switch over to the laptop. It was plugged into the VNC switch, so I couldn't see. It's kind of funny after. It was all confusing, but later it was kind of funny. But anyway, that's what he's got on here. And I believe that just, if you install X11 VNC, I think that just comes with it. It's just a dependency. Simulate multi-head display. Interesting. I always see things that I think are cool and I want to try out every time I get into one of these package managers in Linux. So anyway, and then there's one RDP. Now, if you're into Windows Remote Desktop, then you could use that one if you like that better. VNC works on Windows. That's what I tried. I learned to use RDP, but it was complicated, and you set it up, and then the next time you go back to use it again, it didn't work again. There's always something went wrong with it. And as soon as I discovered VNC, I never went back to trying RDP again. There's X-type VNC viewer, X VNC viewer. There's plenty of different viewers to try out. You would want to know about that if you were going to connect to your, say if you're wanting to connect to a machine to help somebody like I was talking about, or you just for other reasons like you're making a video like I am, or you don't have a KVM switch and you want to connect to it from your main machine to work on whatever it is. Can be really helpful. So, but yeah, you can. It depends on how much. I've got 2 gig on this laptop, so this is Devane, and it's really lightweight, and the apps are small. So, you could install 300 megabytes of apps, and of course that's just a few kilobytes there. But you could install, 300, 500 megabytes of apps, and still the machine would still run fine. But you do have to watch how much you install, because an app may be 30, 40, 50, 100 megabytes, but the dependencies may bring it up to 300 megabytes. So, for instance, KRFB, you end up installing about 350 megabytes or so if you install that KRFB server, VNC server. And the X11 VNC, well, let's go see. It doesn't tell you right in here, I don't think, unless it's over here on the end. Yeah, it doesn't tell you until you go to install it. Then it tells you how much it's going to be. Well, it counts up all the dependencies. Yeah, it doesn't tell you what size they are right in here. But anyway, just thought I would show that. So, yeah, I'm really liking the changes that he did from when I started looking at, from the regular version till now. I'm really liking them. I like the way the interface looks now. I'm trying to think of what I want to do. Let's see. I think I want to, I'll just go ahead and say leave and just say shutdown. And that'll close your VNC connection automatically right there. So you're done with that. I'm starting to lose my voice again. Going to have to get a cough drop. But I'm fixing that. I'm done really with the video. So. Yep. ended up making a long video after all, but so yeah, that's my quick and dirty. That's my endoscope is normally plugged into that USB, and so that this camera's a lot smaller deep resolution, so it just went over there like that and got small, and I didn't want to change it because really I'm not going to use this camera, this old USB camera, very much. But anyway, it got me by because my one I usually use camera, camera one was aimed at the laptop because camera two is over there aimed at the window. So yeah, we'll see what's going on outside here. Oh, the sun's come up. Oh, cool. I have it set to automatically go to night vision at night and, change the sun up, and it worked, so good. Okay, so I was having trouble getting the timing right, getting it set right. But all this stuff, I like 12-hour clocks, and it works on 24-hour clock. So first time I did it, I got it wrong somehow and didn't work. And then the next time I thought, okay, maybe it works on a 12-hour clock, and it didn't. It did it twice. It worked when it went to night vision, but then at the same time the next morning it went back to night vision. Like, oh, right, because it is a 24-hour clock. So anyway, well, there we go. I'm tired and going blank, and I think I've thoroughly ran it down. So that is the end of this one. And yeah, if you haven't ever tried out Rescatux, you should, and you need help with your boot, all those things I showed. Mostly I've used it to fix broken bootloaders. Broken bootloaders. But that's really, anyway, my voice is going nuts on me. I'm gonna have to quit. So I'm gonna go and talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.